Hey everyone, after spending several days at our last and final trip at Catalina Harbor at Catalina Island, decided to go ahead and leave a day earlier than planned for Ensenada, Mexico. The trip's about 138 nautical miles. I'm going to do this solo during a small craft advisory with winds getting up to about 25 knots, gusting up to 30 at times. So my big concern on this trip is really not as much the weather. I feel safe. It might be a little uncomfortable, but just the time, because I think this is going to take me about 28 hours to complete this mission. And with a little luck, maybe I'll get there a little sooner. Sunday, November 3rd. So we had that rain and everything yesterday. Now the sun is out. It's beautiful. So we have this this catch behind us, still anchored out there a ways, and we had that other yawl or catch that was I think it was a west sail. Not sure where he wound up going, but I was curious. You know, we had the small craft advisory, and he was anchored out there, not very well protected on the other side of this rock over here. That's Pin Rock. And I was wondering, as we started getting into had wind forecast and everything. We never saw much wind last night. I didn't see it get past gusting in the, mid-teens. And for the most part, it was, high single-digit winds last night. The only effect we had was that we've been just circling and circling back and forth as the winds are changing direction, as the tides are coming in and out and everything. So I don't know what kind of mess I'm gonna find with the anchor when I try and pull it up. Let's see how twisted it is. I left, I was gonna wrap all this stuff up, the dinghy, and get it all folded up yesterday, but then it started raining, and I thought, well, I'll just leave the dinghy out there and let it get rinsed off a little bit, because I had all that bird crap on it and sand and stuff, even though I kind of tried to wipe it off and put some fresh water on it yesterday. So I was actually happy to get a little bit of rain and get that rinsed off. It's been pretty chill. We still have a small craft advisory with 15 to 25 knots forecast today, but I think most of it's going to be a little bit outside of the outside of Catalina Island, so just a little bit further offshore, I think, is where most of that wind line is going to be. I know we had a little bit of northeast forecast, and I think that's what we're experiencing right now, kind of light winds. Potential for some like mild Santa Anas, but I don't think we're going to get much there. So I was looking at tomorrow's forecast, and unfortunately, so this is what's going to happen is we're gonna wind up with this kind of confused sea state because of the weather that we had coming through. And then tomorrow morning, when I leave early to start heading towards Ensenada, the wind's going to be like 10 knots or less. So we're going to have 4-foot seas with fairly short intervals, and not much wind, which means we'll probably be bouncing around and motoring a lot. Now, I'm sure we'll get a little bit of sailing in. But I thought about, trying to get down maybe a little bit further and get some sailing in today to Mission Bay. But, when I got up this morning, I really started looking into it. It puts me at, it put me arriving after sundown. And I really don't want to pull in there and try and find an anchoring spot at night. So we're going to hunker down today and just do odd boat chores. 10:15 Sunday. I spent the last little while getting the boat ready to sail, so I've got the dinghy stowed up there, and I've got most of my lines sorted. I've got the halyard on the mast ready to go. A little buoy right there. I don't know if we drug a little bit, or I know the anchor's chained out, stretched out, just because we're getting a little bit of wind now. That's what I think it is, but I'm still not super comfortable with it, because if the wind, if we get a little bit more west, I'm gonna have these rocks over here. I feel like we're secure, but The weather tomorrow is going to be it's going to be like 4 feet waves with no wind. So I'm thinking we just leave early and just get up on it and go ahead and head out, and then we'll look for a slip in Ensenada a little bit early, I think. It's better done with 2 people, so one person can modulate the forward motion with the engine if needed, if we're getting pulled too hard by the wind, so the windlass isn't doing all this extra work. 11:25. We did get rid of the we did have one issue with the chain castling a little bit. I had to go in the V-berth and straighten it out, but anchor's up, it's locked in. We're gonna get some sea room here, and then I'll go forward and straighten that out. 9:45 and we're underway. We've got these beam C's that are going to be nagging us all the way down. I've got reefs number 2 and reefs number 3 rigged. I see we got a catamaran coming around. Reportedly catamarans are generally supposed to be stable. Looks like they're getting bounced around pretty good. Have a look at their mast. Guys are getting bounced around quite a bit. I feel more comfortable than they look. Now the other part of our storm sail configuration is going with the staysail or partially reefed staysail. Since we've got wind right now coming at us at about 110 degrees, we can go ahead and let that out, and might give us a little bit more speed, as well as a little bit more might balance the boat a little bit against these waves. My biggest regret right now is not rigging the hydrovane behind me. These beam C's are not super easy on the autopilot, so it's a little more wear and tear on that. We'll see what happens when we get past the island here. We're gonna probably head inside a little bit more. Maybe have a little bit less winds out there, and I know they're going to gradually die down overnight, but this is what we're expecting for the rest of the afternoon. My goodness, I almost forgot. Adios, Cat Harbor! Can't forget that. That's going to be my last time in Cat Harbor for a year or 2 or so, and my last time on the hook at Catalina Island. So we'll try and savor this in between these waves just beating us up. See how long it takes us to get tired of this. Got this big rock between me and San Diego right now, so I think they're saying the small craft advisory was extended, but I'm not sure. 10 till noon. We're just surfing down waves right now, over 7 knots with about 1850 RPM. So I did want to get the batteries charged up, since I had 285 amp hours pulled out of the batteries, getting close to the 50% mark, and I wanted to run Starlink as far as I could as well. So I think that's going to go out when I'm about 12 miles away from Catalina, unless I get closer to shore. So we're going to motor for a little while. Winds right now are about 20 knots straight behind us. So we lined up with the waves, and it's actually kind of blowing us right on course, so we can just surf down these waves. And I've got reduced head sail up, so if we were going to try and make for time, I would need to do a couple things. I'd need to let this boom out, and I didn't get the preventers out, dig them out from the very bottom, so I'd need to do that. Unreef the main, and if it starts blowing more, you know, that could be a little bit of work, and then you know, I could still go with the staysail. So we've got enough wind, I think, to do main and staysail, but it'd be a little bit slow without unreefing the main. There's just a sliver of main up right now. So we can handle more than that, but right now it's actually, once we got kind of balanced and we're, you know, going with the direction of the waves, it's chilled out a lot on the boats. We're not getting all this beam action and stuff like that. We are, you know, slowing down when we get into the face of waves and we're surfing down the next, but it's also pretty controlled. So, you know, if we're staying between, I'll say 5.5 and 7.5 knots, which is what we're doing, that's not going to be too hard on the rig or too hard on the keel dragger. It's hamburger patties and tortillas for lunch. Thought we'd go ahead and have lunch now while conditions are pretty benign, and just relax for a little while. 2 p.m. update. We got San Clemente Island over to starboard, and just to beam of us is the southeast end of Catalina. So we are we're going to see Catalina fading into the distance here pretty soon, and we're going to be offshore for quite a while, about 76 miles to the Los Coronados Islands, and maybe 120 miles or so ish to Ensenada. So we could get there in less than 24 hours, or about 24 hours if we really pushed. I may actually do that. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna see how I'm feeling as we start getting close to San Diego, and if I need to drop the hook or something, if I'm just too tired to deal, we'll pull into San Diego and find a way to rest for a few hours before we continue on to Ensenada. Most likely, I mean, I don't think the sea state's gonna get substantially worse than this, and if we're kind of staying on this heading, if it doesn't get any worse than this, then I think we're just gonna keep plowing along. All right, well, it's blowing 20 knots here and we're all reefed in. We're gonna let the engine rest for a little bit. The batteries are almost topped off, and we're still doing 6 knots, give or take. So I'm pretty happy with our speed, and I'm even happier to shut the motor off. But you can see it's a little rolly. I could take it up another 10 or 15 degrees, but I'm trying to get a little closer to shore for a couple of reasons. Not too close, but the winds are stronger tonight further offshore, and they're going to be settling down, but we'll get in a little bit lighter wind and hopefully a little bit smoother seas as we get a little closer to land. It's my theory, but we'll see. So our next waypoint bearing is 123 degrees, and we're doing like 107, 108. 123 degrees puts us just outside the Los Coronados Islands in about 74 nautical miles. So with that triple reef in, we just don't have much main up, so we're kind of bouncing around. It's hard to get a good fix on our speed because we speed up a knot going down a wave, and we descend and we slow down a knot running into the next one. So if I take the midpoint, we're running a little over 5 knots. I think I can go ahead and, I'm seeing 16, 17 knots of wind, but we can go ahead and shake out. Actually, we're going to be set up in reef number 2, not reef number 1. So reef number 3 is just so deeply reefed that it's, you know, we're just not getting a lot of power from it. We can definitely handle another, you know, taking that reef out, but I'm going to keep her reefed with the second reef through the evening, and then you know, tomorrow after daylight we'll reassess as we're coming in. We might shake out the, you know, the reefs and everything else. So let me show you what this main looks like. So here's our main situation. It's triple reefed. It's pretty deep, so there's not much sail area there. And you know, we're still clocking around at what, 4 to 5 knots, not that fast. So I'm gonna stay clipped in and I will I'll stand up at the mast there, and then I'm gonna put the second ring on the reef around the bullhorn, which is right where the boom and the mast meet at the gooseneck. And then the leech line, I can actually control that from the cockpit. So let's go ahead and get that done. All right, so you can see how I ran reef number 3 on the luff. Now reef number 2, you see under, it's hard to see, but there's a little metal hook right here, and I can do one of two things. One, if I pull that up, I just hooked it and it's gonna hook. The other thing is I could rig another line like this, which I'm not gonna do. See the waves behind us. All right, luff's hooked. We're gonna go ahead and work our way back into the cockpit now, and we can do everything else back there. This clue line, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this. This black line is on the clue for the reef. So we'll tighten that. What's going on, motherfucker?
What's going on, bitch?
All right, so the reef and the clue are open for reef number 2. Now we're pulling on the halyard. Let's look at our main. How's it look? Make sure there's plenty of slack. We need slack in our clue line. Reef number 3. It's slowly paying out. Yeah, my clue line's got a little tension in it. I may have to adjust the clue line a little bit. That's not a big deal. This red clue line's got a little bit of tension in it. I'm just gonna try and pull some slack out here. All right. Make a long story short, I think I got a twist inside a loop, or I got the reef number 3 clue line inside of the reef number 2 clue line when I tied it off. Not a big deal, but we're not going to fix it underway. It's not worth messing with or anything like that. Just, you know, may affect us minusculely performance wise. About a quarter till 3 p.m. Wind's building to about 23 knots, and it's still pretty chill. So you get a little rolly, you know, speed up, slow down with waves, but I'd say the motion's reasonably comfortable given the sea state and everything like that. And we're going a little faster now. Picked up maybe a knot, so we're doing between 6 and 7, closer to 7 a little bit. Making good speed, so I'm pretty happy with how we're dialed in here, and it's pretty nice not running the engine. I am going to keep Starlink on all night, I think, and I will be running radar as well once it gets dark. So and then at some point I'm going to make water. So with all the power draw and everything, I might be doing a little bit more motoring anyways. Plus I think the winds are going to die down, but we'll kind of ride this as long as we can, and just see where we get before we gotta turn on the engine. So a couple of observations. The waves are larger than they were before, so I'd say they're probably 6 feet average, and the wind's crept up a little bit. So we've got 23 knots right now. I've seen as high as 26. Right now it's settling in around 23 and a half. So I was expecting this afternoon that winds would die down a little bit. If they continue to pick up, we might consider going back down to reef number 3. But for right now, other than just bouncing around a little bit, it's still, you know, pretty manageable, pretty chill. We're surfing. Check out the Speedo here.
Waters from Clemson, San Mateo Point, including Catalina and Anchorage Island. Small craft advisory now in effect until 9 p.m. Monday.
Small craft until 9 p.m. tomorrow.
Strong wind will create dangerous sea conditions. Good capture
Gale warning.
Small large vessels.
Outside of there, so we're hopefully getting out of it. 28 knots now. Jeez. Maybe reefing here very soon. Definitely 4:34 as we get a little bit closer to sunset. If we still have this kind of wind, I'm gonna go ahead and just stick another reef in the main. Screw it. 25 knots. 26 knots. Sun's going down over San Clemente Island. Beautiful. 5:17, a little bit after sunset. We have a beautiful sky. You can still see San Clemente over there. So yeah, it's 17 after 5. And we're kind of rigged for night. I've got the red lights going down below. I've dimmed the chart plotter and the instruments. The tricolor is on the top of the mast. Since we're only sailing, if we were motoring, we'd have to go with the nav lights down below with the steaming light. But we're not doing that. We're running radar. So I'm running at 12 miles. And then I've got the chart next to it with AIS. Keeping an eye on that. And then I'll do my best to keep my eyeballs peeled as we're rolling. Still between 23 and 25 knots. Supposed to settle down later tonight. I think the small craft advisory lifts at around 10 p.m. If we keep getting these conditions, if it doesn't deteriorate, we're making really good time. So we're just kind of flying, rocketing downwind today, and it's probably going to get us into Mexico at a decent time. And we're already pretty much charged on the battery. There's not too much drain on that, so I'm not worried about you know, running radar overnight and the autopilot and all that stuff. Everything's good there. The only thing is making water tomorrow. I want to make sure that I make water for a few hours, because at some point I'm not going to make water in Ensenada Harbor. So it's at some point I'm gonna pickle the water maker and all that stuff in Ensenada, and then I won't be taking on any water until I won't be taking on any water, but I won't be making water until we're headed back south again. So as of about 7, the wind shut down to about 12 knots. It's still bumpy. We started making water, so we're gonna make water until 11 p.m. and we'll be motor sailing. 11:15 update. I guess I wasn't paying attention to the international line, so we're in Mexican waters now. We're gonna go on the outside of the Los Coronados Islands. They're about another 15-16 miles to go before we get to the Coronados, I think. I'll have to check. And we'll just keep rolling on. So the seas have smoothed out quite a bit. The waves have laid down a lot. There's not any wind, so we're just motoring. We had a bunch of shipping traffic, fishing boats, cargo ships, cruise ship, couple cargo ships. But now that we're kind of past San Diego, we're past most of that right now. All right, it's 5:30 a.m. We've been motor sailing all night. Captain Keeldragger has not gotten a... maybe I've kind of dozed for a couple minutes here and there, but I've been standing watch, and we've had like no traffic. So I've got another boat about a couple miles off flanking me right now, and that's the only traffic I've seen for hours and hours, which is kind of nice. But one of the things I just absolutely love about pulling into Ensenada are these Mexican sunrises. I don't know if there's anything special about them. Maybe it's maybe it's air pollution, but you get these really bright orange sunrises. Not sure how this is going to show up in this light. I've got like a little fleece jacket over a flannel, over a t-shirt, with a little blanket over blue jeans. So it's gotten a lot colder. I figured it's going to get warmer as we went south, but I guess this wind that blew through was a cold front. One of the landmarks on the port side, you're coming in about maybe 15 miles from Ensenada, is a large propane or LPG plant. You can't miss it. At night it's all lit up. Might be able to see a few lights there. Once you see that, you kind of know you're getting towards the home stretch a little bit. Here they come. Dolphin escort into Mexico. There's a flock of birds and a bunch of dolphins. Look like they were feeding or working a bait ball or something. So we just went a little bit to port. We're looking at the bay here, Bahia de Todos Santos. Let me show you. So we come in, we want to avoid, you get like, I've seen kelp like in this low spot. These are the Isla Todos Santos. There's a couple islands here. So it's pretty good just to kind of shoot the middle here. And then head, this is Ensenada. And then you can see the harbor here. You know, I've come right around this breakwater. I don't like to do that as much. I mean, you look at the water, it's plenty deep enough. This is like set up for cruise ships and stuff, but I tend to take it kind of wide and then just line up the channel, come straight in. And then this harbor right here that you see is that's Ensenada Cruise Port. Here's where the cruise ships are. And then these docks over here are Baja Naval, and that's where we're headed. Better look at Islas Todos Santos. See the two islands and the northern island with the lighthouse on it. There's some fish pens there for fish farming. There's some over this way too. This we call Baja Naval on VHF 77. Baja Naval, Baja Naval, Baja Naval, sailing vessel keel dragger.
Baja Naval, go ahead.
Good morning. I just entered the harbor. I'm headed to slip D6. Over.
Could you please the name of the boat?
Yes, it's keel dragger.
Would you please tell me the name of the boat?
The name of the boat is keel dragger.
Perfect. You're gonna find a guy there for you.
I'm sorry, I didn't copy.
Okay.
Look at this monstrosity. Spring yet. Okay. Back her up a little.
You're good, Skipper. You're here.